Let's have some fun. Hey, it's Nog Chats, where I chat. Joining me today is my co-developer on Lizardman301.
Bum, bum,
In the future.
What else can I say that's like generic, but also just like a bait? I'm a big fan of the Rashid buffs, and they put it on stream. Just like, yes,
Oh yeah.
we did it.
Oh, still hoping for those V-Skill 2 buffs. Back to the present. Lizardman, how you doing?
I am doing good. I've been up early and actually working Lizardbot today, but now I'm here. So, hooray!
You are here, and for people that don't know, what is Lizardbot?
So Lizardbot is a torrent bot created in May last year that you and I have been developing since then. Basically, well, you joined a bit later, but we've been working on it. It's basically a tournament organizer helper bot, just to make both the tournament organizers' life a lot easier in terms of just managing tournaments, and also allowing users who enter those tournaments to just, I don't know, have an easier time seeing what rounds they can play, seeing where the brackets are, the stream links are. It's just an overall tournament helper bot based on Discord. It's been very fun.
Yeah, and we slowly adding more features to it. We had our official launch 2 weeks ago.
1 week ago. Last Wednesday was the first tweet I know.
Last week.
But yeah, we're already up to 32.
Week and a half. How many servers are in? I didn't catch
32
that.
as of
32.
this morning, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we're now in places like Team Spooky. We've been in the online local. There's some Killer Instinct servers that are using us, some Smash servers that we're thinking about using us.
I think some of the anime community as well. At least I think one Uni tournament was talking about it. But no, we've expanded.
So it's been getting up there. Feature requests are always pouring in. They trickle in. Not through my DMs. No. I've harshly told people, don't do that. I will ignore you.
They've come through mine. But most people have been people that actually like I know. It was like Puppy Swarm, Chicago Tekken TO, Chicago Tekken owner. Him and I talk a lot. We're good friends, so he's been like suggesting a few things to me. But yeah, if you're listening to this and you got a feature, talk in the Discord, like in the actual help Discord, which might be linked somewhere, or go to the feature request thing on GitHub, please.
100%. It really just helps us track and have centralized areas to look at issues, because otherwise they go all over the place. And speaking of issues, how do we kind of decide what issues to work on?
I get it.
Is there a full official process, or is it just kind of like, hey, are we working on this thing?
It's kind of just like we bounce ideas, like at least for the recent features. It's been like the big one I can think of recently has been like the draw command. I just mentioned like, hey, will this be a cool thing in the bot? And he was like, sure. I won't do it.
Sure, it's cool, but that sounds like a lot of work if you want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of, it's very informal. It's very much like it's like, what is this actually important? Like if it's a bug fix, that's when like, okay, we gotta get this out like right away. But most time it's like we kind of look at feedback and like, will this be interesting? Will this be useful? And then we decide if we really want to work on it. But that's kind of how it goes. It really helps when it's not like this is our job for either of us, so it's just a hobby thing, so we're not really like obligated to full do something, which helps a ton.
Yeah, and so it's definitely part of that. There's definitely times we review pretty much every request that comes in. We'll review it, talk about if it's possible, if it kind of matches where the bot is going, the direction that we're trying to push the bot and stuff like that. Which usually is my job, since I don't hear or talk to a lot of other people about this. Usually you'll come to me, you're like, hey, can we add this feature? Or like, you want to do this feature? I'm like, no, why do we need that feature?
We need it.
So it's very funny. And then you're like, but people want it. I'm like, fine, I'll think about it. And then usually later that day, there's a prototype already built for it, being like, hey, look, I thought about it. It wasn't too hard, and it might actually be useful. So, but there's times where, we're like, people want it, and I review it. I'm like, I don't think we should add this. Right? That happened only with one feature so far, which was allowing users to sign up through Discord to a challenge tournament. That bypasses any waivers that the challenge tournament has set up. There's no way for the bot to get those waivers in any sort of way. Challenge doesn't have the support for it. So,
and that's one of those features where it's like, I think I do agree. Like I forgot, was it
It was that
Yeah,
French
no,
guy, Brian.
that was I felt like, oh, that'd be very useful. I fully agree. But then when we, like you said, we looked into it, and the API literally does not allow us to even read user responses, and so it's like, yeah, we can't have people bypassing that.
Well, fun fact: I can read the responses, but I can't get the questions.
Yeah,
So I'm like, that's useless. If I don't know what the questions is, I can't ask the users what if they want to accept these or require them. Like I wouldn't be able
mhm.
to send responses either. So I can't send like, hey, this person, sent their speed test link so that you can see, what their speed test is. Kind of like what the online local has been doing, and it's kind of important when it comes down to making larger important
Mhm.
decisions in your tournament.
For sure. Oh man.
But pretty much everything else that's come through, we've talked about and worked on in some capacity, even when I don't like it. Uh, I think the most recent one that came in was Challenge report and Challenge check
Mhm.
in, and I was like, or not, well, Challenge player
Yeah,
check in.
player check-in, not the. We already have check-in, but like just letting TOs know they're here and checking in versus reporting all people who are checked in.
Yeah, so it's uh half of that works. Well,
Yeah,
half of it is I've worked on and know that it's possible and have a good system for it already. The other half of it, no idea.
yeah. I was wondering if I could get time to that, but I spent all day Thursday. That was my work day today, just working on the new feature, which should hopefully come out this Sunday to disable and enable commands. So that was the brunt of it. So I didn't get time to even look at the other options. So, but hopefully soon.
Yeah, and this Sunday would be this past Sunday because this comes out on
Good point.
Wednesday.
Yes. Valentine's Day. That it is. New Valentine's Day. We're giving you a new Lizardbot update. It's a lot of bug fixes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because that didn't get pushed out last week. I barely didn't finish that in
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
So, but it's bug fixes, and then because we're adjusting draw, because the draw command is so popular, it's so good that it made people upset already. Got people salty in game based on the results. So we got to fix that.
Yeah. Because it's
It's
your
mine.
feature. Although if there's one person that understands the bot entirely, despite the fact that you've written some stuff for it, it's
Mhm.
me, because I read through all of your code and review it like 3 times.
Got to make sure I'm not being
Like,
stupid with what I because like what was the thing? Well, yesterday I noticed it before you did, but I for the disable command I added an entirely new table just to do disables, and like, oh yeah, this would be great. I feel it works great. I thought about it, it's like, why did I add a whole new table
wait,
just for one more column that could have been added to just guild settings? It's like, huh?
yeah, or you had actually originally made the feature to uh not care about
Oh
aliases,
yeah,
so you would have to disable a command and the aliases. I read through. I didn't even test the code. I read through the code. I'm like, uh, that sounds like a pain in the
yeah.
butt. We should maybe do this by the function name instead of the alias.
See, that way you force people to use, like, for example, like they can't use ping, but you can use Lizardman. You can't use the ping command though. You gotta address it by the appropriate name.
The
The
appropriate one. So I
appropriate
mean,
one.
we can just remove ping if you don't like it.
Nah, we gotta keep ping in there just in case someone needs to use it.
Uh, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff like that goes into decisions and then review and then uh, coding and then the other developer. So like if you write something, I'll review it. If I write something, you
Mhm.
review it.
We both test it with
And
our test
and
bots. Just
we both test the hell out of it.
we use a test bot to
Especially
test
now
the
that
test bot.
I wrote a bot to test the test bot, and it's well,
That's still the
it's
funniest thing. Like
annoying.
it's annoying to write. I saw you going through it. That seemed like a nightmare. But so I feel like it's very practical, but also hilarious at the same time. Get 3 bots in the
It's
system.
yes. there's there's the real bot. There's the test bot. So here's how many bots we have in our server. There's the actual lizard bot. There's your test
Mhm.
bot. There's my test bot. There's my bot that tests the test bot. Well, really can test any
Yeah.
of the lizard bot based ones, but it mostly used to test my test bot because you haven't run it. So that's just 4 bots just to run and develop Lizardbot itself.
Yep.
I think we have Carlbot for some
I had it
reason.
just for.
I'm not sure.
I had it for moderation because like Carbot's great for like doing like role-based reactions, but I haven't really used them, so he's just there. Carl's a cool bot though. I like Carl. The whole server is great, so
yeah, I'm a fan of Carlbot as well. So very useful, and some of the inspiration for what might come next might come from Carlbot in terms of managing the bot.
oh yeah, Carbot is
but
an
that's
advanced bot. It'll be very interesting to see what we can get from it.
again, but the stuff in the pipeline, that's pipeline stuff. Some of the stuff that I'm working on long term is way far away, in the sense that I've started to look into it, but mostly haven't done anything.
Yeah.
And one thing you don't really want to do, talk about unreleased features because people get mad. Talking about getting mad, we did talk about challenge report and check-in.
Yep. So that's an official issue right now, so that's someone else could see that regardless right now, but
it's in the works.
Yeah.
It'll come out in a week or two, probably.
Hopefully.
Unless something breaks or I find a reason to not do it, which happens. Or if all of a sudden the bot just breaks, I gotta go fix that first. But that's how that goes. And in terms of the bot breaking, well, not really breaking, but when we are looking to improve the bot or change anything about the bot, what do you usually use to do any of your changes to the source code?
So there are 2 things that I do. So if it's documentation, I just use GitHub Desktop just so that I can just quickly add pictures, add whatever. But most of my development is done when in an Ubuntu virtual machine using Visual Studio Code. That has been great for me just in terms of being able to debug stuff, easily work with the built-in Git tools, all that fun stuff. So that's what I mainly use.
Way more advanced than me. I just run stuff in Notepad++.
Notepad++ is great, so I don't blame you. But
it's a great Notepad view. It's not really an IDE or an ISE. I mostly just will, if I need to figure out where something is getting to, I will write print statements around it and figure out where it's getting to. The old school debugging method.
Yes, the best. Broke here, figure out where it is.
Yeah. So that's usually how I do. Of course, the bot's at a certain point where it's well enough developed where it usually only breaks where it's intended to break, although sometimes it doesn't. But we have fixed most of that so that it gets caught and printed to console so that we at least know that it broke. I think in the current version there's still the issue where, so we switched from printing error messages to actually handling exceptions recently in like the last month, and I think I'm still printing the entire stack trace for any exception and not just the ones that aren't the expected exceptions, which gets fixed. Yeah. It gets fixed, but right now it's like if somebody types in an invalid argument, it will get printed all to console and be terrible to look through.
Yep.
Which I realized as I wrote a test bot, and I'm like, I don't know what's actually broken and what just failed as it should have.
Yeah.
So I fixed that. It should be in my improvements.
Yeah, it will come this Sunday. So, or last Sunday, the 14th, whatever this comes out.
Yeah. It'll get fixed. It's all fine.
Yeah.
I fixed a lot of edge cases in the bot last week or 2 weeks ago, wherever this comes out. I fixed a lot of edge cases that should just make it harder for users to break the bot, which is kind of ridiculous. I got so tired writing that test bot to test my test bot, and it was
but we got so all the edge cases.
Empty lines. I could probably make it better and automate more of it, but I'm just so tired of working on that. And
Mhm.
I already added new code to test the new features. It's a pain in the butt. But yeah, and of all that, I don't really use anything fancy. I I I code in Notepad++. I run things in command line or PowerShell,
Mhm.
whatever is already open, and that is how I run and test the bot. And then of course I type a whole bunch of commands into Discord and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Notepad++. I've used it for when I make like scoreboards or whatever because that's just been easier than OpenIDE. But for this stuff with just debugging, I just love having an actual debugger. It's very useful.
Eh, I don't know about that one. I seem to do fine with that. All that's pretty interesting. That's how we talked about how you kind of came up with the bot a little bit, just wanting to help people.
Mhm.
I hopped in when I finally kind of found out that you're like running it was a very small number of servers at that point that we were in, like maybe only
I think
four or
it
five.
was only two when you jumped in because it was literally just the online local and then my test server, just so that I could like I don't know just test it myself. But I think it was only two when you joined, maybe.
Was it? I think the larger issue was, at least what I heard and what got me started in it, was you wanted to run multiple tournaments, or wanted the bot to be able to support multiple tournaments at once.
Mhm.
Because currently you just saved everything, or previously you just saved everything to a text file
Yeah, because
or a
pickle. It was pickle. That's what
whatever
it
it
was.
is, pickle.
Because before there was only one variable stored. Because when you joined in, there was no chat. There was no bracket command. There was no stream command. I mean, there were, but they were all hard coded because all just for the online local. So the only variable was just the round. That was it. And the only reason I saved it to was just in case like if my bot went down or something went down and needed to quickly reload, it wouldn't reset to zero. But yeah, I was like, oh, we need to do multiple tournaments because other people might want to use this. I don't know how to do databases. Let me ask. You just came in. I think I don't even think I even asked you directly.
Yeah, I
You just
think
found out about it.
you were typing in the East Coast chat, I think, with Axio talking about it,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, listen, I've done a lot of database work, and by a lot I mean enough to make this work.
Yeah.
As most things that I do are, I know enough to get something up and running,
Mhm.
uh, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll come in here. Your bot looked horrible. It was a giant list of if else
Yep.
statements.
That's all it was.
It's like, this this sucks. I looked at it, said that it sucked, and I'm like, I don't have time to deal with this. I'm programming a different feature. And so I made the database work. I got all of that set up. I made it fairly well. You couldn't really, no, you could edit. The basic edit was there, but it was
Mhm.
getting kind of complicated. There was a lot of nested if else. I was like, this is getting way too complicated. We need to find something to work around here. And I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, let's find a good bot. And I don't know how I found Yaksha, but
The frame data bot, the magical frame data bot.
the frame data bot. I think I was in the fat server and just like looking at stuff, and I found the bot, and I was like, that seems cool. I should see what that source code is and see, if I can use it, or
Mhm.
like, use parts of it. Um, sure enough, opened up the GitHub. The license for it said I could use it without attributing anything. And I was like, I definitely not doing that. I'm definitely attributing
Yeah.
stuff, because that's my firm belief. You did the work. I'll use it, but
Gotta get credit.
you get credit where credit's due. All right. So, I don't remember the name of whoever coded that. Is it Tom?
Thomas. Yeah, Thomas. Tom. Thomas
Um,
Prasad. Ellipses is the GitHub name for it. But
yeah. So he coded that, and I 100% stole parts of it. So instead of having one 200 line file, we now have like four main files,
yeah,
five main files that add up to over 1,000 lines now,
something like
which
that. Yeah, it's massive now.
which is, it's a lot more, but it's a lot easier to add commands. It's a lot easier to see the process
Mhm.
that the bot kind of goes through, and easier to segment out different functions, right? So we have an entire one entire file is just dedicated to our commands. It's where we add commands. It's where we add the functions for the commands and everything like that. Then we have another file that is just utility functions for the entire bot to kind of call.
Yeah.
They're not quite commands we need to be public, but it's stuff like reading from the database, writing to the database, making things bold in markup text.
Yep.
Which is always fun. What's another good one that we have?
Well, I guess random select we moved that recently to randomly pull from the database. To randomly pull from the rs.json, I think. Yeah, just for both random select and draw, both use that. Let's see, getting users for challenge check-in. Oh, ping be gone, my favorite one. My favorite
ping be gone.
My favorite utility.
You coded that one.
Well, no, you fixed it because I forgot there was something that had to get changed, but you changed the name. I said no, change the name back to Pings Be Gone.
You did say change the name back. I'm like remove mentions or something. Like I changed it to like be an actual name, and you're like no, change it back. I was like okay, fine.
There are only a few things I'm fickle on with Lizardbot. Like that was one of them. The other one was Lizardman got changed slightly. My favorite command. I'm like no, we're not.
Yeah, I put an exclamation point on the end of it, and you're like, we can't have that. I'm like, sorry, I wanted the bot to be angrier. It's okay.
No, I need to be deadpan. That's what that was my vision for that command. But yeah,
Lizardman. I might cut that out.
Probably. It's kind of we've been good so far. Let's cut it out to be safe.
I might bleep it out. Listen, it still needs to be in there. You can't.
Hey, if you want to use it, if you want to hear what he just said, just type in !Lizardman in any of your favorite tournament chats that use Lizardbot. You'll hear it. You'll find it firsthand. Best command in the bot.
And we talked about that a little bit. Some of your favorite tournaments might be more tournaments than you think at this point.
Well, we are in a lot of servers. Like we mentioned Team Spooky. That was the first one. I was really surprised because they don't even use challenge. Like, oh yeah, they're using ping test. They're using the round and status command. Like, oh, perfect. Glad we're helping. Love to see it.
Yeah. They're the entire reason that we're doing Tekken 7 random stage select.
Yes. One of the TOs.
As you found out recently, I always knew this, but Tekken 7 stage select isn't random. It goes in a cycle. And I've noticed that since day one of Tekken 7 being out. I'm like, this is not random. I can literally see the stage in the cycle and then wait for the cycle to come back around and pick that stage.
Yeah, no, I've been for pre-COVID, the locals I was running around the set, the biggest tournament was Tekken. Never knew it when I was streaming it. My brother is like a really good Tekken player, and I never knew it, never heard it from him either. So I'm like, oh, that's something we can easily do. We already have the RS command that can just do basically that. Just gotta change the syntax to make it make more sense instead of characters at the stage. So, but yeah, that was very interesting to learn.
But very easy to implement. Those are the things that it's just like, oh, cool. We put in another alias to do like, say, stage select instead of random select.
Yep.
Make it a little bit easier for the players to understand what they're doing. Might do it for other games if they find out they don't have actual true random stages, but in other games it usually matters less.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of any other 3D. Unless it's maybe like Dead or Alive or another 3D game, like you said. Like I think most 2D stages doesn't matter, or they just all use like for Street Fighter 5, we all use training stage. We're not using another stage for an online event anytime soon.
I can have it do random stage select between old grid and new grid.
There we go. It'd be like
That'd be funny.
It'd be like Footsie's V2 for if you do RS Footsies, you always get Footsie's character because there's no other character in that game. We just do it with just the 2 training stages, easy.
So there's a bunch of little stuff that give the bot a little bit of style. Like when the bot encounters a hard issue, it'll respond with like "I is broken," buff Rashid, and tell Lizardman that the bot's broken.
Again, only the essentials in Lizardbot. We give you the information that you need to know, such as buffing Rashid.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of times where it says buff Rashid. What's the other big one that we added that says buff Rashid?
If you add the Lizardbot, because the fun fact, a lot of people will not read Discord properly, so they'll try to add Lizardbot thinking it's an actual TO, and so we added a few weeks ago. Lizardbot will now respond to @ mentions just with some random 8-ball text, and also include some like message like, "Hey, I'm a bot. Don't talk to me." But one of the random responses is Buff Rashid. So who knows? Maybe we get lucky.
Yeah, sometimes. There's definitely times where in testing I added Lizardbot like 80 times, and I want to say like a solid 12 of those, more than the average should have been, was buffer sheet. So I think it's definitely slated in your favor.
Yes. So yeah, how many?
You should definitely. Oh, that's an idea. I'll talk to you about that one later.
Okay.
I gotta write that one down.
Write it down. We always like new ideas,
Okay.
especially when they involve buffing Rashid. That's what I'm there for. I got Buff Rashid on the official Twitch gaming stream.
You did.
I did, yeah. Because they were just pulling random. So they were pulling random stuff from Twitch chat, and so I tested it first with like a generic, like, oh boy, I love Street Fighter V Championship Edition for the PS4 and PC, and they pulled it. I'm like, okay, if they pulled me once, what else can I say that's like generic but also just like a bait? I'm a big fan of the Rashid buffs, and they put it on stream. It's like, yes,
Oh yeah.
we did it.
Oh, still hoping for those V Skill 2 buffs.
Yo, if they actually buff it, that's gonna be hilarious. I will be laughing to the bank.
It's so annoying already.
It's so bad. It's such a bad V skill though.
Right, but what am I supposed to do? You're just flying around my head, and I can't hit you for it.
Anti-air, flash kick.
I literally can't, because if you jump at me, you get the V Skill 2 and bait the flash kick.
I will never use. So good for you. I will never use Guile. I will never use V skill 2 against Guile, just because in my experience, one time it worked out against someone who was not happy about Rashid in general. But in general, I have not been consistent with baiting out the flash kick. With DPs you could do it, but the flash kick is just a bit too big for me to bait it.
Mm.
So I will not use it against Gal for that reason. Maybe who knows? Maybe in 2 weeks. In 1 week, in the 22nd, maybe, but not now. That is too much, too risky.
But yeah, that'll be a ton of fun to get into. We'll have to actually update the bot for 11 and Dan.
Yep. Is Rose coming out?
Which is going to be funny, because if you get 11, it's also just more random select.
The double random. Let's go.
I'm curious to see what, because I know like 11 just transforms, but I'm curious to see what else, because they said there were some other changes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, I'm excited for that patch in general. It's gonna be I'm very happy for it. The only thing I don't like is no mention of netcode, but like I wasn't really expecting that, so I'm not really surprised or anything. But I'm very excited for the new patch.
Yeah, it looks like a ton of fun. What are some other interesting things that we've done with Lizardbot? We talked on most of it. The challenge integration, and why we don't do Smash integration.
Oh yeah. Smash GG.
We'll talk about challenge first.
Yeah.
So challenge, I've worked with a whole bunch. Very easy to kind of get into. Acts like your pretty typical RESTful API.
Mm-hmm.
So you make a web request to it with specific parameters. It gives you the code, or it gives you a response.
Yeah.
Right. Pretty typical for an API.
Pretty easy to understand. Just like even before Lizardbot, I was able to understand it for stuff like scoreboards. It's like, oh yeah, just pull this, work as intended. Very simple. I like it. Yeah. Except it's just missing some features. That's the main issue with it. But what is it missing features?
Correct. And we quickly leveraged that due to our experience and built challenge check-in and challenge seeding. Had some hiccups along the way. We ironed those out after the first week that it was in. Actually, the second week that it was in use. We didn't even catch it the first week, which sucked. But we got it the second week. We, patched that, made it so that seeding actually worked. But that was an entire big task where I had to work with the Google Sheets API to pull a whole list of seeding stuff and stuff like that, which was a little bit of a pain.
We also had to get like 32 people to sign up for a bracket, right? Just to have like an actual test bracket. Just like
I needed to do that to figure out what was causing the issue during the second week.
Okay.
That wasn't really necessary for me to figure out what was actually how to actually do it. Mm-hmm. I knew how to do it, and I could seed subsets of numbers, or I could even put fake players in, so I could do stuff like make a tournament with players, player 1, player 2, player 3, and make a fake seeding sheet that said, player 1, player 2, player 3 has X amount of points. I did a lot of testing on all of that stuff to make sure that it would work in a variety of situations, whether or not people had challenge usernames or not. And then I think I tossed like half of that out the window because I didn't care. I said, no, people will sign up with challenge usernames. We don't need to do this in another way. And Sniffles, it primarily is made to work with how Sniffles did the seeding sheet
Mhm.
for the online local. So
That's like the main
a
thing about
lot
the
of
bot. The bot was designed with the online local first, so a lot of stuff, like you said, like with seating, with how we do check-ins, with the original pink test. Now that's edible. Basically, everything's based off how the online local has been running the tournaments for the last what, like 4+ years in Street Fighter Five. So
5 years, six
5 years.
years.
That's how long the game's been out. So yeah, so everything's been based off that, just because it's been tried and tested. So that's what we're trying to build it around.
Yeah, and it's also what I consider home for an online tournament for
Mhm.
me at least. It's where I've played the most online tournaments. It's where I TO'd the most online tournaments. It's where I've commentated the most tournaments.
Definitely,
Uh,
I think it's mine too. Because I entered the online local, because I live in Wisconsin. We have some. I was hosting some monthlies, and then there's some weeklies like in Madison. But I would enter the online local basically every Monday, unless I was being risky and driving down to Chicago for a Monday night tournament. But that has definitely been like the online tournament for the longest of times, and even in COVID era, it's still pumping out great stuff every week in both East Coast, West Coast, and even Europe. So that's why I was very happy to contribute in my own little way with Lizardbot, with making the initial version and now where it is now, just helping online local and plenty of other tournaments now, which has been great.
yeah, that was again the big change with the database. It allowed us to support multiple people.
Hmm.
That was an entire thing. I had to learn a lot about how Discord stored their variables and everything like that. Um, Turns out a lot of it is just big integers.
Yep.
Not null. There's nothing that's negative, so it's mostly just channel IDs, guild IDs. Guilds are what they call servers.
Yep.
That was an adjustment, and mentions. Mentions, by the way, are a very complicated beast.
Yo,
If you don't realize it, there's an entire system that goes behind it. Channel mentions start with a different prefix than user mentions that start with a different prefix than uh, role mentions.
yep.
They're all a random length of string that doesn't match any of the IDs for the channels or the users. I don't know why it's different, but
It's different.
I've lost my brain trying to think about this. So you just have to trust me on this one. It's different because that's how Discord decided to do it.
Yeah.
It works. Discord is a beautifully written program, way more complicated than what we're doing.
Like,
But
just from looking through the Discord pie, like they have pretty much options for basically everything. But the issue is some of it's just so convoluted. Like you said, like, why is this like this? Well, that's just how it is. It works, but like you just have to work around it and try to understand it. Like, oh, okay. I remember there was when I was working on forgot what part I was working on. There's something where there's member and then there is user, I think.
user, yeah,
And they
there's
have
members and users,
what I
and they have
remember.
different attributes.
Yeah, but there was one part where like I was trying to grab the nickname. I think member
You're
has
trying to
nickname.
grab a user nickname doesn't exist because
Yeah,
it's a member nickname, and
exactly. I'm so frustrated. Like, why doesn't this work? And like, oh, it's because of this. I have to rework it so that it's pulls from the members instead. Like, it's if you know what you want, you can get something really cool out of Discord, like Lizardbot, or like if we're talking about really cool Discord. Have you heard of the what is it, the Karuta bot? It,
no, I
it is,
haven't.
I have been sadly addicted to it for about a month. month. It is a anime gotcha based entirely in Discord. You can drop cards from animes and even fighting games. You can do trading. There's a whole economy. There's a whole.
Oh, I've heard parts about this
I
because
mentioned.
doesn't Team Spooky have it in their
I'm.
Discord?
Do they have it in their Discord? That'd be great if they do. But let me see if they have it in their Discord. But because I got because they do a lot of embed work, which is what I got the idea for draw from. Because they had like stuff for trading and complicated stuff. Does Spooky have it? If they do, I might have to hang out in there a bit. But
Because I think Idom, it's like somebody got Laura and gave it to Idom. And that's all I
that
remember.
might be in the
It
waifu
was
bot.
like
That might be the waifu bot. That's slightly different.
Okay, bro, I can't.
The waifu bot is not one I would personally use, just because it's a bit too not safe for work for my liking. There's
Well,
some
here's the thing.
in
I'm
terms of
not gonna play either of them because I'm not into
yeah.
gotchas,
I would
and I I I who I am does not fit well with a waifu
yeah.
bot. It just wouldn't work for me.
For me, I wasn't interested because I saw it in one of my friends who was like, "Oh, I'll play it," and then someone mentioned, "Oh, you can get Johnny from Guilty Gear." I'm like, "Oh, I like Johnny. I'll play a bit." And then I've never played a gacha before. This is I guess, my technically my first gacha, and I have sadly become I play it too much now. I play it in class, so it's
Yeah,
bad.
so
But
that's
also,
precisely the reason why I don't play gotchas. Is I know I would just sit there
yeah,
and waste time on it, and then wonder
you're,
what I'm doing with my life. So I just cut it off at the pass. I'm like, I'll just skip the middleman and wonder what I'm doing with my life without wasting a bunch of time
you're
playing a
way
gotcha
better off
game.
for it. Way better off for it. But either way, despite it being a terrible waste of time, that is an insane bot. Like, if the one thing that Lizardbot has not got this phase yet, but if we get enough servers, there might come a time where we have to re-optimize everything to make it run smooth, because everyone's doing all these calls. It might be too much for either my computer or just the program in general. Because I'm
Yeah,
looking at, if you ever get into the spot, if you look at their main Discord channel, they get hundreds of messages a second in their main drop channel, and it's able to hand it all really quick, which is just
holy cow.
it's
Well,
insane.
here's also the thing. When a Discord server gets large enough, it gets sharded out so
Mhm.
that it almost said like I said shard, but shard,
Yeah,
sharded out, so that it's spread across multiple servers, and the load, it can handle, like Discord makes it so that they can even handle the load of having all of the messages be sent at once.
yep,
You can do the same thing with the Discord bot, but it's typically only recommended if you're actually in a bunch of servers, or that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Which we're far from worrying
Oh no,
about that.
we
I'm
are
not
good
sure
for a
if
bit.
you've started. I'm not sure if you started monitoring the performance of Lizardbot, but I try to optimize as much as I can of what I know how Python works.
Hmm.
But for me, it's difficult to run stuff like what is it, PyPy or something like that, to track the usage of the bot long term, to see like map graphs, have cool stats basically.
Hmm. I don't think I've done
Um,
anything with that yet. That might be an interesting thing to try out though, because I mean, we get a fair amount of usage, especially it's mainly like on like Monday nights or whenever the big tournaments are actually running. But it's just because of the way the bot is, it's a tournament helper bot. The main hot time is during tournaments. So like right now, if you're running commands, there should be absolutely no issues, because it's just gonna be people messing about unless it's some tournament I don't know about. So, but no, that'll be interesting to see how optimal Lizardbot is actually running on a day-to-day basis. Maybe run it a Monday night to see how bad it is that night. But yeah, nothing so far.
yeah. So the main thing, and the main thing that takes up more processing than anything, is Chalonge seeding, and that it only gets run once.
Mhm.
Chalonge check-in probably takes up a good bit too, but everything else is local in the program. It doesn't take much compute resource.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think as I have all these files open if something else is big.
Eh,
Edit's kind of big, but edit's not complicated.
maybe draw just because there's a bunch of embed watching, because you're waiting for reactions. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was also a huge issue.
Yeah.
Uh, that was an issue. You made that, and it was like, I think this is good, and then I looked at, I'm like, we are far from good.
We got a lot of things to work. The basics were
We
there.
gotta.
The test, the prototype worked, but like you said, and like you
The
did,
prototype worked, but when you started looking at stuff and you're like, oh, let me try to start two draws at the same time to the same person, and then you start noticing, hey,
yeah.
wait a second, I reacted to that one, but it changed that one.
Oh no,
Why did that happen?
magic. Well, because
Uh,
we're looking for. I was looking just for a reaction in general instead of a reaction on the specific message. I think that was the issue for that one.
yeah.
So we just had to fix
So
that and a few
I
other things.
checked for the message ID and stuff like that. What was the other issue that happened? That was the issue, but it happened on all, because we do two embeds. So
Mhm.
the first embed would break, and the second embed would break, and I had to fix both of them.
Yeah.
But it took me maybe a couple hours to figure out what was actually happening, because it just kind of didn't make sense for a little bit.
Mhm.
What else did I do? There's something else that I changed in here. Oh, I changed your variable names
Yes,
because
because I had terrible variable names, which I fully
you
agree with.
did. And I was like, sent, and then sent v2. I'm like, what are these? Why are these like
Well,
this? Oh, I
see,
took
it's the
out.
first version of set. It's the second version of set. Clearly,
Yes, so descriptive.
yes,
You wrote a comment about what the variables were, but I'm like, we can just make the name better.
yes,
Oh, I took out. You had a function being defined within the function. I took that out and made it a lambda because lambdas are cool, and I don't like having.
fancy Python stuff.
Uh, I don't like having recursive function inside like functions inside of functions.
Yeah,
It makes me nervous. Although there is one function inside of a function that will forever exist, and that is in the utilities. It's how we register all the commands, all
yes.
the command names to the function names. It's a function in a function, but that's a Yaksha thing that I haven't quite figured out.
There's a
Can I
lot of
write this as a lambda? I
there's
can
a lot,
write this as a lambda. It just would get rid of the print function,
yeah.
which
There's a lot of
I don't know
interesting
if I
Yaksha
can write a
stuff.
lambda.
I mentioned to you before. Adam, who works on Fat, asked me to look at the bot because there's an issue with Falk. If you do at exclamation mark frames Falk VT2 down plus heavy punch plus heavy kick, it will return an error. And because of the way there's something weird with the bot with how it makes a reverse map. It overwrites the V Trigger 2 version with the V Trigger 1 version, and I'm trying to just read through the code of these doing. I'm still trying to figure it out. I fixed one other bug, but there's a lot. Yakshabot was a great basis, but there's still some stuff that I'm just like, why is it like this? Why? I mean, I have a lot more experience because of Lizardbot, so I kind of understand bots more. But it's like, still trying to understand, still trying to work it out how to make it fix.
I tried to make it. I tried to take all of the best parts of Yaksha and
Mhm.
put it in Lizardbot, and I think I did a good job,
Oh no,
despite the fact that I
yeah,
reviewed Yaksha for like 4 hours. I was like, okay, I think I understand, and I'm pretty sure this is what it does. I pulled code, I pulled all of the pieces that I thought were going to be useful out of YakshaBot, tested them on my own like 800 times to figure out what that function did, and then I kind of put it all back together and Frankensteined it and made my own monster.
yeah. It's
And
just
that is how I do all my coding.
we take code from online or Yaksha or whatever, we jam it in, and hopefully it works.
Yeah, and when it doesn't, I adjust a little bit. I'm like, okay, now it works. And it doesn't look terrible. You know what? It's not the worst. That is my goal. To
Yes,
not be the worst. And that giant if else
it's better than
stack
we had. Yeah.
was pretty bad.
If I mean, that was great for like, oh, this is how you make the bot connect to Discord. This is why you make it well. And I just because that was like, I think it was literally just like the template for testing your Discord bot, and I just edited it to what I needed. And so, but like that what we're doing now is way better. It makes way more sense for anyone reading it. It's not a jumbled mess of if else statements. In general, it's way better if you have a big program like this just to separate everything into their own files. And so, this is the Yakshabot gave us what we needed to make it look way better.
Yeah, absolutely. A fun fact that one thing that kind of stayed until recently, uh, in the original version of the bot, you printed the remind message to console
Yes.
when you did exclamation point remind and you left a message. Or, as a matter of fact, I don't even think it had to be a message. It would just print like, hey, somebody needs to be reminded in X
Mhm.
amount of time, because you were testing that and wanted to make sure that it was working. But it hit a certain point where like I was rewriting part of that for like the first time because it was like one of our only untouched commands since we've launched. And I was like, wait a second, why are these print statements here? I don't think they need to be here. I was
Well,
like,
no,
I asked,
they're testing, and I just left it in there. I believe, just like,
yeah,
oh
and because it's like, well, the one of the only commands I haven't touched. I'm like, well, I guess I was like, Lizardman put these here for a reason. I'll leave them here. Until recently, where I'm like, do you need these still?
no,
Because they've kind of been here for like 8 months.
just in case I need to know someone's doing a reminder. I just need to be able to look over and see. But no, that was literally just for debugging purposes.
Uh, but yeah, well, like we've done a lot of fun stuff with the bot. The edit command, the edit command.
Yeah, very useful, but yeah, that is
Very useful. You want to talk about a stack of if else statements? It does so much error checking, just to make sure that things aren't going into the database wrong, or that you for the command that you're using that it goes to the right table, because we have a table for guilds or Discord servers, and we have a table for all the channels, and they're cross associated. But there's settings that go to the guild, and then there's settings that go to the channel, and they have to all be segmented out. And so that's a whole process. I could probably write a command that does either of those, but that's not how it works right now. So yeah.
Yep. It works as is. That's
Man,
yeah.
Just looking at this, because parts of this I haven't looked at parts of our code for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So like the start of the edit command, where I check for channel arguments, like if we have a bunch of channels that are sitting there, and how I go through and get rid of those is actually fairly interesting, which I didn't comment at all. So like, have fun.
Yeah.
You'll find most of the times that the bot's not commented, it's my fault because I'm lazy. And by the time I get around to writing comments, it's been like hours of me working on a feature.
Mm-hmm.
You, on the other hand, do a great job of writing comments, and I'm like, man, these really help. I should do this
more. Well, because the way that I've come to code has been like, okay, let me give an example of the disable command. I wrote the first few things for like some minor bug fixes. Then I came back with like okay, how am I going to do the database? So I sat there and I had to write out the comment. I wrote out the comments first of what I was trying to do. Like, okay, first step, grab the command. Second step, make a connection to the database to grab the current list. And so like the comments are kind of already there when I start coding, and I just move them around and refine them when I actually have like it's working.
You're writing pseudocode for Python. It's crazy. Yes. Python is my pseudocode. So I'm like, oh, I want this thing to do this thing, and then I want this thing to do this thing, and now I want this thing to do this thing, and then it's already doing that thing.
Yeah. Pseudocode is great. It just helps me. I guess just from being a CS major and getting like slammed with pseudocode all the time, it's like, this is very useful. Just like get a feel for what it makes more sense to me in pseudocode. Like, okay, then like we do this in actual Python code. Like, oh, okay, this is great. My sheet brain.
Yeah, for draw, that was very useful because draw is, I think, our longest command. So
is it? Oh boy.
I was reading through it. I'm like, oh man, good thing that there's comments here. Wish these variable names looked good.
I mean, once you get the draw just being based on an embed is what caused it to be so long. Just that alone. Plus a few other things like in reactions, but embeds, the way you edit them, it's just because you have to. The fun fact for Discord embeds.
What is this edit that you talk about?
There are no edits. You create a new embed and replace the old one. That's your editing. So what? It's not fun, but we did it. That's what again, like going back to CrewBot, that's all embeds. Like you guys are mad.
To be fair, we only delete one embed, and that's because we don't. The permission requirement to remove reactions from the embed is
that's an admin permission, and we don't want to give
it's an admin permission, and so we're like, well, get rid of it. Yeah. So yeah, that's the main thing. It doesn't do, because the game embed does everything right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we add another embed for the final character pick.
Because first, so you accept that's one embed, that gets deleted, gets replaced with the actual game, which gets replaced but it's never actually deleted. It just edit the message, add something in there, by edit, replace it. And then we just delete that to clean it up because that takes a lot of room in the Discord chat, and then just replace it with the final, here are your characters.
Yeah, that was my main concern, is that it was just going to be a lot, but it kind of works. I think it looks better as an embed than it would as a regular message.
I agree.
So
I fully agree with that. And people have been enjoying it. I mean, again, there's been some salt with the way the order's been done. Yeah. But that to be fair, that's from someone, that's from someone who's salty for a lot of things. So not to be, it's not out of the ordinary. Let's say that. But still, it is like, because the main issue was the order currently, it's going to be updated, is player 1 bans, player 2 bans, but then player 2 picks immediately, which I forgot if I got it from like a MOBA or I just thought it was from a MOBA. But after some testing, like, nah, player 1 should pick after player 2 bans, because that just doesn't seem fair to get a ban and then a pick immediately. Just doesn't make sense. Like, okay, and after enough play testing, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. We can change that. That's just a swap of a few things and we're done. So
Yeah,
got play
and I
testing.
mean one of the main things is I didn't play test the drop bot in terms of user friendliness. I
Mhm.
was like, does this work? Yes,
Yes.
no. That is more or less my job. Does
That,
this work? Yes, no.
that reminded me, actually. I need to add. I got another update for that. I need to add for user
Yeah,
friendliness. I forgot what it was like. Instead of bolding, it needs bolded and underlined for the player character.
yeah. That you posted in admin talk for it.
I need to update that
Oh,
before we push it. Yeah.
that brings up the lovely conversation of how do we communicate for Lizardbot? Do we get in voice chat? Do we just
No.
message each other? I
It's
already know
literally
the
just
answer.
it's literally just like because this is like what the third time we've been in VC talking about Lizardbot, I think.
This
Fourth
about
maybe?
Lizardbot. This would be, I think, the third time, third, fourth, maybe the fourth time, because we did a Discord. I think we did 2 Discord calls, and then we had the server and did one, and then there's the podcast.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, Not to say that we don't talk to each other or hop in voice chat. Like we've done commentary together.
Yep.
I'm gonna be on one of your productions later today.
Yep. But like, yeah, just
Uh,
mainly we just type in, like, we were in a DM and now we're in the Lizardbot help server. But like we just put in, like, oh, I'm working on this. Oh, I'm doing this thing. Uh, like,
oh, you should change that thing. Oh, hey, can you
yeah,
review this?
yeah, check this. We have the GitHub webhook now that just posts whenever something gets updated in the GitHub for like an issue or a pull request or anything like that. Like, oh, okay. So it's like it's a lot of just Discord typing. We just type in a Discord chat, like, oh, yep, this needs to get fixed. This needs to get fixed. We can see now what we're testing on each other's test bots. We can comment on that. So yeah, it's mainly just Discord chat. We don't do VC much, for at least for Lizard Spots specifically.
Yeah, there's not much that really. There's not much that we talk would talk about and be like, oh yeah, go look at these lines of codes and do something like this, which we just type in and chat about. It's like most of the time it's me giving you suggestions. I
Yeah,
was like, oh hey, you can do this thing, reference this file, this line, and do something similar.
yeah,
And it usually works.
yeah. It's pretty chill because the only other thing is like in GitHub, I guess we use GitHub issues to kind of keep track of what we're working on. But yeah, like besides that, literally just commenting on each other's work in Discord works great for us so far. Really helps when it's just a two-person team. So
Yeah, not super complicated, and that brings up the all of the GitHub issue kind of thing, which we started recently. I
yeah,
think at the beginning of the new year, where we started working on stuff, we started opening tickets basically
mhm,
and worked on them because I was getting tired of forgetting what things were and like having to scroll through a huge Discord chat to
yeah.
find out like what was this all about?
What are we
Like
doing? Yeah, we need it.
what was this for?
Having a ticketing issue system has been a great improvement. I have to say, I am a big fan of it. So
We don't. Here's one of the things that we don't do. We don't type on the issue super a lot. Usually, like we'll open the issue, and if it's going to not become a thing, we'll type on it. But
yeah,
other than that, it pretty much is just
a to-do list basically.
yeah, it's just a to do list and a way for people like to reference it. Be like, hey, we've gone through and worked on all of these issues. We've had people come in and well, one person come in and work on Lizardbot. That's not us. He like changed 2 lines of code,
Yeah,
which shout outs
shout
to
out to
him.
them.
It was yeah, it was fantastic. Let me see if I got their name. They're now in the contributors list.
Yes, that was
Lautaro Pastorino.
he did exactly what he wanted. It just
Exactly what the issue asked
yes,
for is exactly what it did.
like, oh, this
Um,
worked. Okay.
what wasn't there was the fact that me and you had chatted and was like, oh hey, we're also going to make this a database command and stuff like that. So he updated it to make it say what you wanted it to say. Then I'm like, okay, that's all good. I'm actually going to take this and make it do this since I have
Yeah.
I'm a lead developer here. And so that was interesting. It was certainly not what we expected
Oh
to
no,
have
I was
somebody
not.
that isn't, as far as I can tell, related to anything fighting games or anything. I don't know how he found us. It was just like he was browsing.
I think he's just browsing like good commits for first time contributors. That's what I was guessing. Like because we added tags for stuff too, and that was one of the
Good
tags.
first issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good first issue. That's what it was. I think he saw that like, oh, I'll contribute because looking at his Git profile is just he's been contributing on a lot of stuff like outside of this, and so he probably just saw that like, I'll fix this. Like, sweet, good job, you did it.
Yeah, and now to kind of combat that, we have tags for active
Mhm.
or not. So like if an issue is open and being worked on by one of the assignees, either me or you,
Yep.
we have that lined up. If the I don't know why I just blanked on this. If it's a bug, if it's a mild, if it's an adjustment, if it's a full feature request, if we the issue is waiting and not being worked on at all, if the issue is under review to see if we're going to implement it, there's a whole bunch of different labels that I've gone through and created to kind of give us the workflow that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely helps a lot. But
Because
the issues in general.
yeah, otherwise it got a little crazy. I got a little concerned when it's just like, oh, somebody just came in and started working on this, and like we had already talked about it, and I was actually in the middle of working on it, and I was like, what do I do?
We just accepted
Panic
it.
for a
We're just
moment.
like, sure. I mean, it didn't break anything. It was just a
Just
text.
updated a string message, and I was like, cool. Now I'm gonna make it do this thing. But thanks for your help, dude. It was cool.
Yep, did the hard work.
What I made it. Okay, whatever.
Oh, yeah, this guy that came in, he changed the string of text. He gets all the credit. He's the
Yeah,
third contributor.
he will forever live on our repo,
Yep.
which is fun. So that's pretty much it. That's all.
Yeah,
That's all Lizardbot is.
it's a tournament helper bot that we want to expand in the future. I mean, we were talking about features, like we mentioned a bit before, but if you have, like, if you want Elizabeth to do this and you think it's a cool idea, again, hit up the GitHub issue list or join the Discord. And it's at lizard-bot.com. Join the help Discord. Talk about a feature in the feature request channel, and we'll think about it. We'll see what we can do with it. But Elizabeth has been a fun time for the last, I guess, 9 months now, I think? Because it started in May. So
I have no idea what are months.
yeah, since quarantine started, it has been a really good thing since I wasn't hosting much tournaments until recently. A great thing to just keep me busy, and I've been really happy with it. And I greatly appreciate your help on it. It would not be nearly what it is today without your help. Again, with the Yaksha bot helping with that, just I'm a big fan of the bot.
Me and my almost 4,000 lines of code.
Yes. But you have a lot of deletes. I don't. I write good code. I don't delete.
Well, I've rewritten the bot twice, and I'm probably
Yes.
going to do it a third time soon. So it will rapidly increase again.
Yes, but no, this has been. I love how much Elizabeth has been helping. It's been just a great thing to have helping many discords, the online local first, and then everyone else second. But it's just been it's been a good time. I can't wait to keep on working on it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite projects to work on. I honestly think about it way more than I should. It's why I had to try to take a week off. That didn't really work. I don't know, Lizardman, how well did I take the week off in terms of not thinking about the bot?
I'm not sure. I'm not in your head, so I can't be for sure about that. But you did hop in like 1 or 2 days to like, oh, look at, like, let me comment on your code and fix it, or the challenge check-in and not the challenge here and challenge report scores. You wrote.
Yeah, you talked about it. I was like, I'm not like, I still like did some dev chat stuff. So I'm like, oh yeah, well, we can think, like, I didn't leave you out in the cold.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
You still
yeah, like we'll look into that. And then I think it was like 4 hours later, because I was taking time in between breaks or my lunch when I'm doing my actual job.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I can probably get something for this put together. And then you just see like a file get posted, and you're like, why is this here? Stop working. This is your off week. What are you doing? I'm like, I couldn't stop. It was there. I had to do it.
In my mind, you gotta code it when it's there.
Yeah. So, this is pretty fun. Lizardman, you got anything else that you wanna plug?
Uh,
Maybe it'll be late. By the way, it'll be late to plug Waseda for today.
well, this is the Waseda
So
finals. So we're doing like you said. When this podcast comes out, I already missed it. The Waseda finals. The last open Waseda tournament. Then we're having finals on the 27th of February, which will be 4 teams in a round robin, and that'll be on the new update too. So that should be
yeah.
very fun. I think it's all going to charity. It's you could probably see I'll probably have something on my Twitter about it. But we're almost $200 raised for the Extra Life charity. So I think if we're not at 200, let's get to 200. But that's the main thing that's happening besides Lizardbot for me. Otherwise, if you want to follow me on anything, look up Lizardman301 on any of your platforms. If I'm there, that's my tag. So that's
Just if you're on Twitter, follow at FU Lizardman.
oh yes,
That's
that too.
all that's important in life.
Yes. That is the Lizardbot official Twitter account, which you'll use for all the updates. It has the best name on Twitter at the moment. But yeah,
We went back and forth on that so much
yes.
because it was like, well, Lizard Dash bot's taken, or Lizard Bot itself is taken by somebody else, and
Yep.
we talked about it. We passed back and forth like 6 ideas for it, and then it's just like
Oh, this is open.
you were like, oh, we can just do FU Lizard. That sounds great.
Let's do
I was
that
like,
one.
I was like, that's entirely on brand.
Yes, that is the brand name for sure. Big fan of that. I guess the other thing I would say is make sure to leave feedback with !Lizardman. We always appreciate that in any Discord chat of your choice.
We should make it so that can't be disabled.
That I was tempted. I have it in the issue. I might have. I know I have an issue. I might have it in the documentation. Like if you disable Lizardman, I'll be very upset. we should.
Lizardbot will find you.
The only reason I want to make it leave it disabled is that I don't want to have an issue where we would add Lizardbot, but because of the swear word, we can't have it in there. That's like the only reason I wouldn't.
The one swear word that
the one swear word in the bot is just on Lizardman. At least intentional. If you have the bot in your own server and you want to have your message say whatever, go feel free. But like the only hard coded swear word is in Lizardman. So
yeah, so. Definitely a pretty interesting piece of programming and ingenuity that we have now put together. I was surprised at the feedback that it got when we did the initial launch, and to find that people are still adding it to servers.
The initial blow-up was insane. I'm still happy about it.
Yeah, in 1 week we doubled the amount of servers that we were in.
Yes,
we
were at 14, I think. Beforehand?
13, I
13.
think.
Yeah, 13. Yeah, right.
And that was all because we had you had been in tournaments and direct message people, and they're like, hey, you should use this thing. I had done no promotion for it because that is not my role.
Actually, let me clarify that. Shout outs to Adam _ R-PC. Literally every tournament that he's in that does not have Lizardbot, he will do ! Status and then say no Lizardbot and be upset about it. Last night he did it in Casa.
That's funny. That's a man.
Adam's the GOAT.
That's a man that is like, man, well, this is pretty cool. I want it everywhere.
You gotta support. He is a great supporter. Gets the word out. But yeah, we're up 32 servers now. We'd love to get. Well, like we're here to help people. So if this doesn't fit your tournament for whatever reason, that's perfectly fine not to use it. But if you think it would make your life easier, we'd love to help you. We'd love to get Lizardbot in your server to help you just run your tournaments as best as they can, because it is a bot.
And if you actually need help, join the help server.
Yes,
we will help you. Both the developers know how the bot works and how to make it function the way that you might want it to function, or if it doesn't function the way that you want it, maybe help out with that.
Yep. Besides just being devs, we also use the Lizardbot in, again, the online local. I use it NCH. So we
I don't use it at all.
Oh, you don't? Well, you're in the online local, so you see it in use at the very least. Either way,
I know what it's supposed to do, and I see it in use. And I'm like, I'll look at something and be like, oh, that kind of looks bad. I should probably fix that.
Yeah. Either way,
and then I'll do nothing until it gets brought up to you, and I'm like, okay, now we can work on it.
But yeah, we'd love to help you. Just join the help Discord. We'll help you either just get it set up in the first place. If a bug comes up, we'll fix it. We're here to help. We're here to make your tournaments run as smooth as possible with Lizardbot.
Yeah. Maintenance window is early on Sunday, 7 to 8 a.m. Central
CST.
Time in the United States.
Perfect for me. That's when I go shopping.
Perfect for you. Shouldn't really be too much else running at that time.
Yeah.
With all the regression testing that we're running now, we shouldn't hard break if because I know Salt Mine League runs early on Sunday. That's the only thing that I have listed down for that.
I'm not sure if they even have it yet, but
it's not yet.
soon. I need to bug read this more.
Soon.
If
you gotta get Adamar in there.
Yeah, get he's not EU. We gotta get the well they have the V32
Yeah, we can get Fossa in there.
Yeah, get him.
But yeah, that's more or less the podcast. Thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you everyone. Hope you all have a good day.
Bye.